The impulse to save something for later, to do it in the future, is the instruction to do it right now. The more you're meeting a need or responding to something authentic in you, the more it finds other people that same way. All you have to know is this lights something up inside me. Just start there.
From To Be Magnetic, this is the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacey Phillips.
And your host, Jessica Gill.
As the leading destination for neural manifestation, we dispel the woo-woo in order to help you create real, tangible results based on neuroplasticity, psychology, epigenetics, and energetics. Our goal is to normalize the practice of manifestation and empower you to get into the driver's seat of your life in order to manifest the experiences, relationships, and things that most align with your authenticity. And by pressing play, the process begins.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Expanded. Jessica here. I am so excited for today's guest. You have probably read her writing, seen her Instagram post, read one of her incredible books, but she is an author, a speaker, a wise sage, Brianna Wiest. She is the author of The Mountain Is You, 101 Essays That'll Change Your Life, The Pivot Year, and her latest book, which is so good, The Life That's Waiting. If you are someone who is in that liminal space, if you are in the in-between, if you are unsure what is coming after everything has been stripping away and changing and transforming, and you're trying to figure out what your next identity and version and season of life is going to be, The Life That's Waiting is going to speak to you in so many ways. I'm so excited for this episode as well because in talking even just a few seconds with Brianna, you can tell that she is truly a channel. She is tapped into the collective energy. She gives words in such a beautiful, poetic, emphatic way that allows you to resonate with the deeper things that are connected to you as well. She gives words to your experience in a way that just unlocks a deeper resonance within you. I think you guys are going to have a lot to take away from this episode. And this episode was a really fun one because Brianna was in the midst of manifesting a really special place, her next home manifestation, which is very exciting. So you might see a cutout of the internet service out where she was looking for places. So if you see that, just bear with us. Mercury in retrograde, there is always some sort of tech mishap there. And just wanted to tease out because we have been getting so many questions, but we are going to be kicking off our mid-year challenge in the next few months. We are technically kicking off the first week of June, but stay tuned to a lot more content. We are going to help you in this transition phase to really integrate on a big level, a theme that a lot of us are going through. So stay tuned for more on the challenge. Okay, enjoy.
And now a word from our partners.
As you guys may know, my partner and I, Daniel, have manifested our absolute dream dog in a little Labradoodle named Theo who needed to be rehomed. And ever since getting him, we have been on the hunt for the highest quality dog food out there. So many dog foods are filled with synthetic, artificial ingredients that aren't actually real raw foods and aren't supporting their health long term. And we've tested so many brands on the market. Some of them Theo likes and aren't as clean. Some of them he gets sick of after a time. And some of them were just an absolute mess to prepare for him. And then our friend introduced us to Sundays. Sundays dog food is not only one of the cleanest dog foods on the market because it's 100% human grade ingredients, 90% meat, 10% superfoods, including things like pumpkin, which is so good for their digestion, but it has zero synthetic or artificial ingredients. And it is the only food that Theo has been consistently obsessed with. Finishes his bowl every single time he eats it. Even when he has play dates with neighborhood dogs, they come over and beg to get a little bit of Sundays because they think it is so good. He loves the beef flavor. It's 91% beef muscle and organs, 5% fruits and veggies, seeds and grains, and zero filler or synthetics. and has no refrigeration necessary because of their air drying process. You can just pour and serve. Theo has had so much sustainable energy, has been sleeping incredible, and his digestion has been amazing. I cannot recommend this stuff enough. We started weaning him off of his old food and started slowly putting him on Sundays per their recommendation, and it has been going fantastic. And best of all, they have a subscription service, so it can come right to your door and you don't have to go out buying dog food weekly. Make some healthy changes for your pup this year and get 40% off a 2-week trial of Sundays. Go to sundaysfordogs.com/TBM or use code TBM, all caps, at checkout for 40% off your first order. I promise your dog will thank you.
All right, on to the episode.
I am so excited to have you on today. This is such a manifestation come through in so many ways. I've just felt drawn to and connected with your writing. I'm sure you get this all the time. And I was diving deep into podcasts you've been on in the past too, and how you've had this moment where the more vulnerable and honest and connected to your truth, the more you can truly connect to other people. And that is just so visceral, so palpable with your writing. I read some of your posts. It's like, was she just in my head? Like, how does she know this? Truly is a gift. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that affirmation. That is really one of the most special parts of it, to say the least. I really mean that, because for me, the gift has been realizing how not alone I am. But I also think it's a master lesson in creativity and art, though, too, or business, or really actually whatever you're trying to do in life, which is that you are the first litmus test. And you have to kind of try it on yourself first. The more you're meeting a need or responding to something authentic in you, the more it finds other people that same way. That has been definitely the coolest part of this whole thing.
Talk about that a little bit, because I know in your process, and we have so many creatives and artists and various mediums in our community, but that perfectionist inner critic to get it right. How do you differentiate between other people are going to think this versus a reframe of, wait, do I actually think that about this?
The way that I often think about it is it has to be the song you would play for an empty room, just because it is so powerful for you to play it. But that's metaphorically apply that to a lot of things. It's the book that changed your life to write it before it's an offering outward. And I think it's super, especially now, the way that we are ingrained and wired to think about this. The river's always running down into other people perceiving us constantly, whether it's mundane parts of our lives or the biggest things we're possibly working on. But then I think there's something also to be said about the importance of that, which is like you are in relationship with people always, whether it's your personal life or in your business or in work. The way people receive it does matter, but it's secondary. It's secondary to the experience of you creating it. I think there also has to be a little bit of surrender, and this is tough, but I think once you get there, it's not so tough though. You can create something that's overwhelmingly true for you, and it's only resonant for 2 people, and that's okay. Or it's resonant for none, and that doesn't make it any less true, meaningful, impactful, or beautiful. And I also think it's 2 different vehicles. I always say it's getting out of one car into the next. It's like the car you create in is not the car you deliver it in. It's 2 different vehicles, and it requires 2 different routes and 2 different operating systems. And when I'm in a creative space and when I am creating, I can't think of other people at all, because it would just mess up the whole thing. I can't think of you yet. No, sorry. Sorry to tell you.
I love that you name that and say that, because that is a question and a struggle we get from people all the time, is in a day and age of social media where it's so important to people's brands, how do they, when they're, building up their repertoire, they're just starting out, or they want to share their art with the world and they want it to reach people and get to people. We recommend too, focus on the art, make that as pure as channel connection as possible, then think about the marketing, then think about how you're going to connect it with people, etc. Even when we build our TBM challenges, we will be in a little portal of what is the best tool for this? And okay, where's the neuroscience research here? Okay, we're doing a little dance and all things. If I had to at that moment be like, and this is the marketing hook and this is the tagline, you can't. You have to make the piece as pure as possible, and then you can go into delivery.
There's something else that I've done for years, which is at the beginning of my career when I would have a hard time writing because I would constantly be thinking about, well, like when people read, I would be thinking through the eyes of the reader the entire time, right? And I thought that was kind of the wise thing to do, but it would just stop me up. So I made this promise to myself, which is that when you are in your writing space, when you're creating, when you're coming up with ideas, whatever you're doing, you can free flow. And I promise you, this is a safe space, like to my own self, this is a safe space to express anything you want. And we are always going to take a pause period to decide what's going to get shared. Because when you're going into it feeling or sensing like everything I do in this moment is immediately going to be pushed out to other people, it just stifles the whole thing. So I almost kind of had to build that trust within myself, which is I am safe within myself to express what I want to express. And then I can pick and choose what I share with others. And to me, that really strengthened my ability to create the way I want to and need to. And I think also then the question that I ask myself a lot of, do I need to share this? Do I need to do this? Yes or no? And the question I always go back to is, if it was the last week of my life, if I am so lucky as to get to my 90s, would I regret not having done this? Would I have looked back and been like, what were you doing? Oh my gosh. If this right now were the last week of my life, what would I want to leave? And would I be okay with this being what I left on, the note I left on? And I feel like it's a little morbid, but when I come at it from that place, I feel like I'm always bringing more truth to the table than not, because I'm always thinking, you know what, if this was the final note of anything, I would be okay with it. But that okay with it feeling is coming from that place of whether you like it or not, whether 10 people read it or 10,000 people read it, whether it makes sense or doesn't, it was real for me and it meant something to me. And so I'm proud to have shared it. And that also is like that's a muscle that it takes time and courage to get to that place of this was enough for me. And that's also for our lives. It doesn't have to even be anything you're creating. I just mean literally like anything in your life, like your relationships, your home, your friendships, what you're doing on the weekend. Like I'm so serious. Getting to that place of this is actually enough for me is one of the biggest challenges every single one of us faces, and often we don't realize that we are facing it. And it's also the only path back into truth. And you'll know it when you're there. I know people who live so differently than me and are so, and I'm like, oh, I can't even imagine, honestly, and I wish I had that much like energy or bandwidth, or people who live so differently from me in the inverse of, they have a contentment. They're okay to, just take the foot off the pedal for 3 seconds. And I admire everything that I'm not in people, always. I have a deep appreciation. I almost kind of like to study it in a way. And you can tell when it's like, that's coming from a true place. It's because there's no justification or explanation going on. There's like a period at the end of the sentence. And when you bring that to the world, I've noticed it almost doesn't even matter what you're doing. When you do it with so much sincerity, people are like, hell yeah. I've noticed this with friends or just acquaintances over the years. You can be like such an eccentric, unique person. And if you come to the table and you're like, this is who I am, I'm in integrity with it. I know who I am. I'm in this truth. I want to be friends with you. I'm showing up. People love those people.
Love it.
They love those people and they love that authenticity. But like when you are the one grappling with whether or not to be your whole self or to find that authenticity, what are we all doing in our heads? We're like, oh my gosh, I could never be that vulnerable. I could never be that honest. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I can't. But you're actually concealing the things that people would probably love the most about you.
I mean, I think that's the thing that makes you the most magnetic. And I think it's not even the architecture of your unique thumbprint of authenticity. It's the energy and the safety with which you regard that authenticity. You hold that in a way where you can sense, wow, they trust themselves enough, they believe in themselves enough that they're willing to show up like this without needing anything from me. They don't need me to validate them. I'm so interested in that. How do I get that? How do I connect to that? We're like moths to a flame to that energy because we want it for ourselves. We want to feel so confident in ourselves, whatever our unique authenticity is. And in the inverse, when you feel the person who you can tell is like really wanting your approval or really wanting you to see them in a very certain light, it's very off-putting, I think, because we have a hard time sitting with the part of ourself that does that too. We're like, ooh, gosh, I do that too. And I don't want to look at that. And that's the messy parts of being human. Get back. This type of vulnerability is too tough.
I just read something, or maybe I had seen it like a day or so ago, and someone was talking about how the people we're the most drawn to, especially like online, people we follow, people we want to read from, it's very often people who are the most in the now, which to me is also interchangeable with authenticity because you can't really fake it in the now. You can fake the perception, you can fake the projection, you can fake the past, the future. You really can't fake the now. You're in it. And what they were talking about was like, when you think about artists of the past, what was it that made you look at a Janis Joplin and be like, wow? Because think of what like the average life looked like then, and look at how that person was living. Like they're not following anything. They're from their chest, with their whole chest in it. They're full chest into it, but also they are in the moment. They are living. And I noticed this. I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. The people I'm the most drawn to are people who are like mastering, or I think have mastered, being in the now, which to me is the same thing as having authentic experience. And that's incredible to me because I think that at some deep level, we are so, well, I don't know about everybody. I am at least hungry for that. And I want to model off of that. And I almost want to observe that and witness that and be inspired by that because I want more of that. And I don't know, and if you're out there, congratulations, but I don't know anyone who hasn't at least somewhat struggled with like actually living while you're still alive. But I feel like so much boils down to how do I make the most of my time while I still have it? And then all the questions that come with that and all the blocks that come through that.
Yeah.
And I think is what we're working through like most of the time.
I think even this year, forever, it's just such a big theme of that reconnection to authenticity and not the like authenticity, but like truly embodiment of authenticity.
I'm curious why you said the theme of this year, because I agree with you, but I'm curious your thoughts. But I have not talked to a lot of people about this, just like close friends. So I'm very intrigued by your thoughts because we all have a consensus and deeply agree that 2025 is this. If it's not in truth, it's got to go.
Yes. Yep. 100%. There's some astrology that's happening right now. There's big planets shifting. If you follow human design, anything like that, they have this blueprint working towards what they call the new paradigm, which is going to be this new energy shift in 2027. Whatever you want to call it, I notice it because, and I actually heard you talk about this in another podcast too, when you have so many reference points of multiple people and separate groups of friends referencing the same thing, like to me, I'm like, boom, that's a collective pattern. There is a collective pattern happening. And we saw that through TBM, through our community, through friends of friends, et cetera, again and again and again. And the theme that we're picking up on, the pattern we're reading is, this is a year of stripping. Whatever is out of alignment, whatever is not in our highest good is going to get ripped down. And now some of it's going to look really messy and some of it's, there's not going to be something to fill it right away. And there's going to be that in between. That's why I think your new book is going to be so good for people in this next year, because there is this period of, okay, what do I do with this unknown? What do I do with it's not this, and I can't quite see what that is yet, but I have to, the buck stops here on whatever was I was just playing small in. I was dancing, I was attaching to for that external validation. And we're seeing it come up time and time again, and people are getting, rock bottomed or tested or triggered in new ways. And it's like, if you can have the mindset that this is happening, it can shake the snow globe, shake your reality. It's not all going to be comfortable, but shake your reality enough to see that there is actually something bigger, more aligned for you that you are just playing in the comfort zone with, then that's how you can get through this year with ease.
I'm like buzzing because I've had this conversation with so many people, and again, this is what we talked about right at the very beginning. To me, the thing that kept just intuitively coming up was, if it's not true for you, if it's not real, it has to go so something more true can emerge in its place. But the very fact that it wants to go means that that more true thing is already trying to come in, actually. It's already kind of there, actually. And so then we're into this spacing of, and I might be wrong on this, but I'm not sure it's so much that we all don't know. I think it's that we're scared to know a lot of the time.
Yes.
We actually can sense what it is, but that is so big and requires so much like inner container work to expand it outward. And that requires confronting these spaces where we've, kept that container small. And it requires us reinventing our vision of our lives and for ourselves. So I've been on my book tour this year, and I've done a few cities, and maybe 4 or 5 people told me something similar. And I know 4 or 5 doesn't sound like a lot of people, but to hear the exact same story in completely different cities, completely different human beings, all around this time, 4 or 5 people, they told me a story of this year where they were like, for example, I lost a job. I thought it was the worst thing that could have ever happened. I was so scared of this. I was gripping so tightly. I was in absolute hell. And I woke up 3 months later one day and thought to myself, God, I really hated that job. And there were 4 or 5 people that told me stories similar to that. And it's this exact dynamic of, I'm gripping so hard. I'm so scared of this transpiring in this way. I'm holding so tightly. And it's almost kind of like the training wheels are coming off the bike and you're putting your hands down and holding them on. And you're like, no, you're staying on, because I have never balanced like this. I've never ridden like this. I've never moved like this. And then, of course, once they come off and you think the world has ended, you're gliding then. You actually learn how to ride the bike. You can move in a way you haven't before. You can go places you haven't before.
There is nothing that throws my day off more than bad quality sleep. I am groggy, I'm cranky, I cannot think straight, I have brain fog. It is not me being in my authentic self. And one thing that has supported me with my sleep every single time I've taken it is Ned's Mellow Magnesium. With so many different sleep products on the market, I really made sure to find something that was not only clean, totally backed by science and tons of research, but also didn't have a bunch of fillers and additives in it, which you see in so many products out there. Ned spent over 3 years just developing their best-selling Mellow Magnesium Super Blend. It's non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, keto-friendly, third-party tested. All their lab results are posted on their website, including a detailed description of what each ingredient's function is within the blend. This is the kind of transparency I'm looking for if I'm going to take something regularly. And I have been on subscription with Ned now for at least 2 years. I can tell you wholeheartedly that my sleep is significantly improved on the nights that I take the Mellow Magnesium versus the nights that I don't. And in part, it's because of the GABA, the L-theanine, magnesium glycinate, which all help to relax the body and calm it down, but also because there's 2 other forms of magnesium in there that help your body replenish the minerals. It has 70 plus trace minerals in there. And I think when we're deficient in any of those minerals throughout the day, from sweating, from moving around, from just being active, not having them impacts our sleep and our cells on such a big level. I cannot say enough good things about this product. I am such a huge fan. And if you are someone who's looking to up your sleep game in any real way, this is the best of the best. Become the best version of yourself and get 50% off Ned products with code TBM15. Go to helloned.com/TBM15 or enter code TBM15 at checkout. That's HELLONED.com/TBM15 to get 15% off. Enjoy.
And so I was curious. I said, and then after that point where you said, God, I really hated that job, each person was, and it wasn't always career related actually, but that was one person's exact situation. The second thing that after that was, why was I holding so tightly to something I didn't even really want? And something that I've always felt and thought and written about before is I think we have to hold most tightly to the things that are not really meant for us. I think we have to do a lot of mental gymnastics. We have to grip and fear. We have to bring a lot of fear into the equation because that's like almost a stimulus or a stimulation to keep us engaged. Because the truth is that if we were to relax and just be, it would fall away. And the things that are actually connected to us, supportive to us, in alignment to us, mutually beneficial to us, you can relax. And not only is it not going anywhere, it's coming closer. Every time I have tried to stop being a writer, LOL, guess what happened? Every time. I was like, I'm done. I'm over this. Pick someone else. Someone else can do it. I'm not in the mood. I'm over it. And every single time it came back stronger and harder. It actually never left me. And all I actually had to let go of were the smaller concepts and attachments that were keeping me in a smaller version of what it was ultimately meant to be. And I was so afraid of getting there, only to realize even the virtue of being afraid of moving on was weird because it was so much better when I did. What am I scared of? Like, my God, whoever's listening, if things want to go, oh my God, let them, like, what? Like, they're not that great. Do you know what I mean? Like, not as much as you're thinking. Like, there are better things because the things that are really, really right for you. And look, even if they're just right for you for this chapter, this season, this month, I don't know, whatever. And they're really right for you, they stay. They stay and they improve and they grow. And it's, it's okay. And also, I want to say, there's nothing wrong with you for having these transits. It's like you're going through a breakup, you're in a pivot. Every time there's this shame piece that comes up for people of what's so wrong with me that I failed at this. Why am I so broken? Why am I so lost? God, if I could just be a better person. And do you understand people who stick in a life that they conceived of, built, and established for a person they were 10 years ago tend to not be the most fulfilled people. And these standards that you're trying to live up to, right? And you're trying to adhere to and trying to, follow, follow the status quo. All those people who are doing it are looking at people who are taking risks and making change and thinking, damn, I wish, I want that too. And we are so afraid of change and being different. And to me, I'm thrilled by it. Yes, like we're moving along, we're having new experiences, we are trying new things, we're opening our minds, we're evolving. So I was like pumped about 2025. I don't have any source for this, just literal intuition. I was like, oh, this year everyone's got to get on path. You need to be doing the thing you were supposed to be doing. Otherwise, it's not going to hold anymore. You can't do these it's not that you can't do a side quest, but if you're trying to build a house on the side path, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you're not going to get the flow. The flow will not come in that direction.
100. You will have to get up from that and get on your true path. And then you can cry and complain all you want. And God knows I do and have, so no judgment. But once you're on it for a minute, you're going to say, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Because that's exactly what these people were saying to me that I was meeting. I thought my whole life was over. And then I woke up one day and I said, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this. What I thought was the end. It was the start. And not all of them were career related, but actually a bunch. So I don't know if there's a connection there, but actually a bunch of people were saying that. And there was another person I was talking to who was saying something very similar and realized that they were kind of having these thoughts of, dear God, I was thinking to myself, I always meant to do this thing. She was in her 40s. She was like, well, what am I going to wait? My 50s, my 60s? My whole life, I thought I was really meant to do this thing. And she's like, it felt like life was tapping me on the shoulder and saying, go and do it now. And I had written something down for my own self a day ago, which was the impulse to save something for later, to do it in the future, to wait, is the instruction to do it right now. And I have not always felt this way. I really have not, genuinely. I do believe in pace and timing of things. So this is kind of new even for myself, but I couldn't shake this knowing, which was anything that you are thinking, oh, I'll do that one day, is your signal, do it right now. And anything that's not done now is lost to you. And I'm actually moving into a quote by Andy Dillard right now. This is about writing. But what she says is the impulse to save something for later in the book is the instinct to write it now. And at the end of the quote, she says, essentially, don't open your safe and find ashes. When you put everything good, all your dreams, all your hopes, all the things you wanted to do with your life, and you try to store it away for tomorrow. And that's the last thing I wrote on that was a Post-it note. I said, don't open your safe and find ashes. And I think that sometimes we want to tuck the dreams into the safe because when they're ideas, they're kind of more thrilling at the beginning than the reality of what they take. But it's also, I think, confronting what they take and growing through what they take. That's your character development. And that's actually the whole point of having the dream in the first place. It's not even just that you did this thing or accomplished this thing. It's who you became doing that.
Yes.
And then it was the way that that person does everything, that is your life.
There's also like just a personal theory on this all too, and how it all interacts collectively. I really do believe and sense that if everyone can get pushed to that level of alignment, that level of radical action towards that call, that pull, that thing that is just cannot wait to come out of them, every single person on this planet has a unique purpose to evolve, to help the collective, to help the planet in different ways. And so how many people are sitting dormant on that thing that is actually going to help countries get along
100%.
better and the planet get better and how we interact with each other get better and our mental health get better. Like everyone has their unique piece of that pie. And if we're all just numbing and just avoiding and
then
terrified,
collectively we're not in flow collectively either. I couldn't agree with you more, and I think this all of the time. I've said this to people in my life too, and you have to understand this pressure is not just internal, it's also all the people who are waiting for you that you don't even know they are. And they are, I promise you. Even if it's just 5 people, that's 5 lives, and the ripple effect of that you can't even fathom. And I believe that when we have a calling, it's not just, oh, I always wanted to do this. Almost always, there's someone on the other side who is waiting in the same way that we're sitting in, how many times have you sat in your own life and thought, where is my next mentor? Where is this relationship? Where is this opportunity? Where is this coming in? I would never stop to think, well, that person to show up had to go through their own internal process and choose to follow their calling to be able to meet mentors I've had over the years, how they had to agree, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm going to make an offering. And I was like, oh, thank God, there you are. I've also had the inverse of that experience with my own self of, okay, I'm going to put myself out there to speak, to be a speaker, to go to events. And it's really been this almost funny experience where I can't tell you how many people have been like, oh my gosh, we were looking for someone just like you. This is so perfect. We were on either side of a wall looking for each other. And someone had to poke over and be like, here I am. And then be like, oh my gosh, perfect. And the fear of no one would read my dumb books. Who would want me to talk about anything? These are the thoughts I would have that would hold me back. And then ultimately it would begin with, I'm going to do it because it's meaningful for me. And then I get into this, as we were talking about, the second vehicle of I'm going to have the courage to offer it, not even give, nothing like that. Just it's here if you'd like it. The courage to just even make that offering to life, that commitment to life, just to say, here I am, this is it, if you want it. The doors that opens, oh my God. I just had a friend the other day, it was like, she's a painter. She was like, I thought to myself, I had this kind of intuitive ping, oh, I should reach out to this connection that I have. It's like an art collector. And that person was like, oh my gosh, thank God. I need someone for this hotel line, whatever. And it was this amazing connection that where did this whole thing, so it's like this to the outside world in a few months, it will look like this huge dream come to life, right? Wow, this is so extraordinary. But where did it begin? What was the genesis of it? I don't know, her walking around her house one day and getting this I should just message that person. That's how it all starts. Even if you do have the vision, it's always working from that. Like, I should message them. I should post this. I should do that. You got to listen to that. It actually can be that easy. Dare I even use that word?
Yes. You've heard us talk about our Pathway membership, but what actually is it? It is an all-access membership where you can get every single workshop that we've ever created, all of our deep imaginings, which are our reprogramming audios, to help you manifest. You can access it on the desktop or in the TBM app on your phone directly. We, of course, have our foundational workshops, such as our How to Manifest workshop, which takes you step by step through this neural manifestation process to actually unblock, expand, and take aligned action to connect with your manifestations. Our How to Be Magnetic workshop, our Inner Child and Shadow workshops. And then, of course, we have a workshop if you are in a rut, if you're in a rock bottom, if you're in an up level, perhaps you need to set boundaries. Maybe you want to focus specifically on the block of money or love. It is all in there. And then twice a year as a community, we gather for our challenges. Our challenges are one of the most effective parts of the process because you get accountability. It is really a handheld experience in how to work through whatever the theme of that year's challenge is. And now to my absolute favorite part of our membership, which I think in and of itself would be worth the entire weight of the membership if we just had this alone, our Deep Imagining library. This library encompasses over 60 neural reprogramming audio tracks. They're self-hypnosis tracks that will really support you in any step of this journey. If you're needing calming, nervous system regulation, unblocking with a specific test or trigger, going through a difficult time, processing a big emotion, or maybe you just want reinforcing, how to reinforce those neural pathways of confidence, abundance, self-worth, deservingness, and connection with your dream life. And not only that, if you go to the app, we just launched Deep Imagining playlists where we're grouping different themes of DIs together. So no matter what you're going through, you have something for you. And we're constantly dropping new playlists as well as brand new Deep Imaginings. And if you need more support in your process, you can go to our brand new video series, Channelings with Lacey, where she touches on the exact energetics that are going on right now in manifestation and how it may apply to your life. So obviously, I am a huge fan of this membership. The peace of mind I get from being able to have all the tools I need at my disposal, no matter where I'm at with my life, if shit's hitting the fan, if I'm feeling dysregulated, if I'm needing to come back to my center, if I'm needing to brainstorm or daydream or connect with what my vision for my future is, every single tool is in there to support me. And don't just take my word for it. We have thousands of testimonials of people who have had incredible success stories with these tools. So take the guesswork out of your manifestation process and get real tools that are going to give you real results. For podcast listeners only, you can use code EXPANDED, all caps EXPANDED, for 20% off your first month of the pathway. Join now and have your best year yet. One thing I wanted to just throw at you, because I've been thinking about it a lot, especially when it comes to this piece of calling, when I was journaling through with my any shadow or limiting beliefs around like what this next version of self looks like for me and the things I feel called to create. So I was going in with this idea of what is that limiting belief or what is that part of me, and how much of it was looking for permission to say like, you are meant to do this. You are chosen to do this. Now go. And I kept journal exercising with it. And I was like, okay, but what would I need to prove that? Without a matter of a doubt, what would I need? I was like, in order to really believe that, I actually would need like God to come down in a physical form and be like, you are meant to do this, go. That I think is the only way I would fully believe it. And I was like, okay, so if you're not going to get that, so then what? Are you just not going to do it? Are you just going to always think that you could do it, but you're not going to try? What are you waiting for? You can choose to assume that that's not your path, or you can choose to assume that it is. Which one are you going to take? The option is yours. Have you ever felt that, am I supposed to be a writer? Or am I supposed to write this book? Or am I supposed to be in this way? Looking for that confirmation.
Yes. And I feel like the only place I've ever found that confirmation is when my vision, my concept of it becomes so strong, so clear, and so certain it gets to a point where it wouldn't make sense not to. It gets to a point where that's the only thing that does make sense for me. And then I noticed that kind of in the conception stage, in the planning stage, if I run into a challenge that dissuades or deters me, I'm probably moving in the wrong direction. And I do believe that part of the reason we experience challenges is because it's life's way of asking us, do you really want this? You will not really know until you're challenged with it, actually. It's when there's a challenge that comes up, then you're like, okay, I don't actually even care about this. That and that, you get that detachment. When you actually really care, you'll get really upset and then come back harder and keep building. And every single time, writing is an amazing example. I have been challenged or wanted to quit. Every single time I came back and was like, no, I'm not giving up. But I could have, but it was like that was a test of my own resolve and will. And the only thing that eventually kept me going was if I could sit and map out, even in my own mind, the story or the vision or the idea for the next chapter of my life or this part of my life that was obviously you don't know what you don't know and you can't see everything, obviously. But I could think it out enough that I would be like, okay, well, I have a plan. Because you're right. Like there's no like man in the sky who's going to emerge in your living room tomorrow and be like, hello,
This
here
is
is
your
my
path.
plan for you. And so it's that, but I also think there's something very special in this, which is I think a lot of the time, most all the time, we get to engineer our own path. We get to choose. But we are working also with some invisible elements, some things we can't always account for. And I think that can we choose any path? Yes, technically. But I think that we are born and imbued and conditioned over time with certain gifts, strengths, desires, passions. And I think the intersection of those creates the next landing place where we build the thing. And then I also think that if you really want to take it to the next level, once you have that chapter or you reach a completion point with something, you reach an ending, it's like the version of you that you became through that is the version of you that can envision, imagine, create the next path. But if you were 2 steps behind, you couldn't have thought that far ahead because you weren't the person with the capacity to even understand what you were thinking or talking about. It's like a character development thing. Can I sit with this for long enough and clearly enough that I can make a plan or an idea for this that not only feels so good to me, it feels like I don't know why I wouldn't do it, but also is getting to the point of exciting me and I can anticipate the challenges and I'm okay with them. I notice when I talk to people who are really on path, if they rattle off what the challenges are, they have an answer like that. If we have to take a break here, that's fine. If we have to regroup, that's fine. If we have to redo the launch, that's fine. There's this almost like surrendered, that's fine, don't worry about it, because I'm so committed to the vision. And I think that most people don't have the creative muscle in their heads strengthened. And I think that when you even probably hear me say that, you're like, well, I'm not an artist, so that wouldn't make sense. But if you cook, you're using that muscle. You are taking a bunch of ingredients and you're putting it together. You might be following a strategy or instructions. You might be freehanding it, but you have an end vision, a goal, something that doesn't exist yet. You've seen it exist before. Maybe you've made it yourself, but you're going through a process to make something a tangible physical experience that's quite enjoyable for you. Apply that to literally anything else in your life and you'll start to see it within your own self. And then everyone around you really, how much we are all having to work on and develop this capacity to be able to create. And for me, step 1 is, to just use my cooking metaphor, it's what meal am I making? And am I craving this meal enough that I'm okay with the cost of the groceries and the time it takes to make it? And then I think that beginning stage of, well, what do I want to eat? That's the soul searching phase. That's when you're on Pinterest and online, you're looking for your expanders. You are looking for your guides. You're looking for your muses. You're looking to gather. Something that I do when I do talks all the time is I'm like, open your phone and look at your saved posts on Instagram. Saved. That is who you are. That is your unconscious. Those are your hopes. This is what inspires you. And people cry laughing when they look at it because they're like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. And then also, if you look at someone else's, if they will show me their phone, I'm not kidding you. A lot of the photos they'll save of like an inspiration for an outfit or something, like it looks like them. You're already there and you just don't, it's like you're looking for that muse expander person essence in your life to show you. You can do that too. Cause I've very rarely, maybe not ever come across someone who deeply, with a burning desire, has a vision and dream for something that they're not like very uniquely and very specifically, perfectly capable of fulfilling. But there's a gap between who they are right now and them being that person. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the calling of your life, because that's the character development. That's the growth. That's the whole point.
So good. What are the muses in your phone right now? Like when you looked at your saved photos, I'd be curious to see if you went back to how many of them were maybe themes and predictors for future books.
Not only have I done that and looked at that, you're correct.
Wow.
You're correct. And or themes or predictors of things that would happen in my life next.
Wow.
Yeah. The photos that I would save. No, this is like really freaky, actually. Like this has happened to me a bunch of times. One time 7 years ago, I saved this photo. This is going to sound really random, but it's really not. I saved this one selfie this girl took in somewhere in New York, and it was this beautiful mirror. And I remember it was like triangles. It was gold, and it was really unique looking, like almost mid-century modern. I was like, that's such a cool place. Where is that? And I saved it. And one day I walk into a cafe and I turn, and there is that mirror. And I was with my sister and I was like, I've been looking for that mirror for 7 years. And she was like, okay. She was like, all right, well, you found it. I was like, okay, let me explain. But over and over and over again, a year before I got into the relationship that I'm in now, I took a screenshot of a random TikTok of a girl kissing her guy on New Year's. And she said, POV, you found your forever person.
Oh.
And I'm not kidding you. I didn't even try to make this happen. A year later, we took a photo that looked almost, I mean, it looked like us. Like it almost was the exact same, even positioning. And when you put them next to each other, it's the same photo. But I had no idea. I'm so serious. I didn't intend it. I didn't plan it. I literally just, all I had to do was take the screenshot and say, wow, I want that. And then I forgot about it. And then the way that it transpired in my life, it makes me laugh and cry. I'm not even kidding you. But even beyond this, when you think of someone who's highly creative, you think of their workspace. For a lot of people, it's this collection of books, of images, of magazines. It's the things that are, I think, latent potential in them, but materialized, and you're just bearing witness to it. And I think that I cannot over express how important it is to do that. And to know, look, you don't even, right now, you don't even have to know how you're going to get to this, okay? Don't even worry about it. You don't have to think that way right now. All you have to know is this lights something up inside me. Just start there.
Yes. Oh, so good. Where can people find the new book? Where can they connect with you? If you have any other speaking events coming up, all of that.
Instagram at Brianna Wiest, BriannaWiest. And the link in my bio has my tour dates. I have upcoming speaking events and also links to my new book, which is The Life That's Waiting, but all my other books too, if you are interested, or just come hang out. I'll post some nice quotes for you. Have a good time.
I mean, even just reading The Pivot Year and The Life That's Waiting in 2025 is your roadmap. No matter where you are headed this year, those two, you have all of your collection of books are fantastic. But those two in particular, I feel like this year are going to be so pivotal for people. So get the book.
You.
It is so good. It is so powerful. It's also one of those books that you pick up and you are called to a different title head, chapter, section based on that moment. And it's going to speak to you differently depending upon what state you're in. And I've definitely had that experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you on. I can't wait to hear what your current saved Instagram posts inspire for the next season.
I'm going to send you a screenshot when we're done.
So good.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I did today. I know it's one that I will listen to many times over and take away new things each time. If you are feeling inspired and magnetic and lit up by this combo in any way, or you just want to work on those neural pathways to really move through those limiting beliefs and tap into the reality that you know you can have on the other side, I would recommend checking out our new beliefs reinforcing DI. This one is huge if you're in that in between. If you're shifting between the old identities and stepping into the new, you can just search it right in our app right now and keep the party going. Or if you are someone who resonated with the part of the conversation when we were talking about needing permission, feeling like you couldn't validate all the things that are truly coming up within you, our validation DI is key. And you can use it through the lens of, I validate what I see in you. I validate this interest. I validate the fact that you are excited by XYZ. So huge. And the other DI that is good for this sort of theme is our embodied DI, because you get to connect with your true essence and give yourself the permission that your desires are meant to be, that you're meant to pursue them, and that you don't actually need anyone else, even the universe's permission, to say that you want it. If it is in your heart, if it is on your soul, if it is popping up in your mind, to get curious about it and to move forward from that space. Okay, we'll see you next week.